Who would have guessed that this would later be considered just the bottom of the food chain, that Goku really can master Ultra Instinct more than his perfected state. Looking at the few times Goku has used this state against Jiren and Moro, there is one thing that stands out, as we see here. Not being able to hold onto this power for long sounds a lot like the same flaw that caused another power to end up barely being used. But Super Saiyan 3 was a form, completely different from the state of Ultra Instinct, right? Well, that was a difference that always bothered me from the beginning days of Ultra Instinct. Why did this technique look so much like a form? Kaioken doesn't change Goku's appearance like this. And speaking of appearances, is that the only reason why none of the gods or even angels were able to tell what this mysterious, burning hot power was at first?
After all, this is the first time even I have seen Goku in this curious state.
Autonomous Ultra Instinct.
Goku is a mortal being, and that is an extremely elite level of power.
Well, it all made perfect sense in Chapter 71. While training on Beerus' planet after Moro had been defeated, Whis asked Goku what the biggest difference was between him and the angels when it came to Ultra Instinct. Even Goku knew the answer. This was a power that he had to transform to use. For Goku, Ultra Instinct was never just a technique. It was a form, not at all what it was intended to be. And as you'd expect, that was the very next step Whis wanted Goku to work towards, to stop using this power as a form and start using it to move his body no matter what level he's in, to find a new version of Ultra Instinct. But here's the thing. Ultra Instinct basically just heightens your own instincts, right? And if instincts are a natural part of who people are, then it shouldn't be a problem for Goku to use this power as a transformation. Of all the things that are natural to the Saiyans of today, wouldn't that be transforming into a more powerful version of themselves? While it might be natural to them, it is definitely something separate from their instincts. Otherwise, any Saiyan who had ever been backed into a wall would have found the Super Saiyan power. But we all know how hard it was for even just one Saiyan to find it. Instincts, regardless of who it is or where they come from, are the ability to move without thinking. And by looking at the times that Goku used this power only as an ability to let his body move for him, rather than fully transforming into it as if it were a Super Saiyan power, is where we find the biggest hints to Goku's new power that we've missed. In fact, the very first time Goku ever used Ultra Instinct is a lot closer to what he's learning now than you would have thought. Having just tapped into this ability, not even Goku could understand what his body was doing. And strangely, it was almost like Goku wasn't even Goku anymore. His composure was so calm, he was so quiet, not at all like the Goku we usually see after having just gained a great new power. It was clear that, with Goku having zero control over this ability, what we were seeing was pure instinct. He wasn't having to focus on keeping his mind and heart calm as he did even against gas. He wasn't taking into consideration how much time was left of this power. He was just moving. And it's no coincidence that this first time of being in a state of pure instinct also appeared as close to his base as any power we had ever seen. While his Saiyan traits were coming out to push him into the state of Ultra Instinct, the form itself wasn't complete, leaving traces of his normal power behind. Taking into consideration what we now know about Goku's use of this angel power, it's clear that, with just his first time using Ultra Instinct, he was getting closer to this new version of the power than he was even after mastering it. But his Saiyan instincts wouldn't fully start showing until, not with his second time using Ultra Instinct, but with his third attempt. Although it was very clear they would all be erased if he failed to defeat Jiren. Goku wasn't falling into a massive ball of energy this time around. Although it was slim, there was still some hope left. And yet, Goku was still somehow pushed into Ultra Instinct. Goku kept claiming that he had only been able to use Ultra Instinct in the first place because his life was at stake. But that's hard to believe because, unlike his previous 2 attempts, it wasn't his life that got him there this time around.
Go, Dad! Come on, buddy!
It's up to you, Kakarot.
Goku found the power from the simple thought of wanting to protect the people he cared about and not letting them down. And it was with this third attempt that Goku was able to transition himself into the Master State soon after this. The only other time since his first attempt that Goku had let out a cry, sounding dangerously similar to the 8 power he once had. Yet another connection to his Saiyan instincts that just can't be coincidence. But it was only once Moro had become a huge threat that Goku was able to activate Ultra Instinct through willpower alone, meaning he should have been closer to his new version of the ability than ever. But that just wasn't the case. After months of training, Goku still had that same problem as before. His stamina still wasn't high enough to hold onto the power, and he eventually was forced to resort to a ridiculous amount of God energy. It was almost as if he had barely improved since the very first time he used Ultra Instinct. It was at that very moment, as Kid Buu's energy gave Goku an unbelievable boost, that what WHIS later said made perfect sense. Goku making this power his own. It wasn't just about not using Ultra Instinct as a form. WHIS doesn't need any energy at all to be in this state at all times. But Goku was drained to the point of needing this, and the difference here isn't mortal versus deity. The power of Ultra Instinct isn't being used as a technique with the angels. It's part of their power. No different than being born with the power to turn into a great ape was part of Goku's power. So how could Goku learn to use Ultra Instinct in the same way as his natural Saiyan abilities? Well, he had already done this very thing unknowingly during the Tournament of Power. After being greatly threatened again, this time by the newly fused Kefla, Goku was forced into Ultra Instinct a second time. But this attempt was much different than his first or third times. After watching Goku gain powers many times before the Tournament of Power, we had come to expect something very specific from him. Each time he used the power, he would use it better and be stronger with it than the time before. But that pattern was broken in this moment. But didn't it seem like he had been improving his new ability? He seemed much more in control.
What's the matter, Kefla? Is that all you've got for me?
He was talking like his usual cocky self, and the ability itself looked more powerful. It was almost looking like a real Super Saiyan power at this point. But as we know now, that's exactly where Goku was heading in the wrong direction. And it showed, with his attacks being even less effective than the first time he used it against Jiren. Goku's emotions were actually holding him back, the same thing that ended up holding him back against Gas. Having barely any energy left to fight by the time Gas had come to fight, Goku was forced to watch as Granola took a final attack. And even after Vegeta gave him just enough energy to move and fight again, it still wouldn't be enough. Not because he lacked the energy, but because of this. Goku was too angry. So Goku was eventually left with this advice. Instead of transforming to use Ultra Instinct, you need to make it your own power, but not your actual power since that comes from emotions, which obviously holds back the strength of Ultra Instinct. WHIS's advice honestly was making no sense at this point, until I remembered Goku doing this. For the first time, Goku was closer than ever to actually perfecting Ultra Instinct. Without a transformation of its own, in the same way Goku was able to stack Kaioken on top of his existing power, Ultra Instinct was being used alongside a Super Saiyan form. Finally, Goku was showing the full capabilities of having the physical strength of his Super Saiyan powers with the agility and precision of Ultra Instinct. But something still wasn't quite right. As Granola continued to find Goku's vital spots, it was clear that Goku's new understanding of how to use Ultra Instinct wouldn't be enough. Even Vegeta noticed what the problem was. After being forced to fight Granola and Gas, Vegeta found that his own new power of Ultra Ego was changing and growing stronger. But that wasn't the case for Goku. Even after Goku had tested out layering Ultra Instinct onto his Super Saiyan forms, Vegeta noticed that Goku's ability didn't seem any different at all. Goku was on the right track, but he still wasn't understanding fully what Whis had just reminded him of. As they hurried to rest before Gas found his way back from the planet Goku had left him on with Whis, Goku asked his teacher for guidance. He still wasn't able to get a handle on using Ultra Instinct as his own power. And that's when Whis asked Goku something very odd. It was clear that Goku would never understand Ultra Instinct until he knew himself. But there was never a time that Goku felt unsure of why he was doing something, even if it was just the selfish desire to get stronger. So what was Goku missing about himself that he didn't already know? As they rested, Goku was given his father's Scouter, and they learned the truth of how a lower-class Saiyan that couldn't even go Super Saiyan was able to defeat Gas. Refusing to be taken back to his home planet and instead continue a fight for people he shouldn't have cared about at all, Bardock showed that he cared about only one thing, the only thing that truly mattered to a Saiyan, and what helped Goku and Vegeta finally understand what Saiyan pride was all about, the will to win at any cost. And it would make sense for this desire to win to be the major factor, pushing their instincts to kick in when the fight got too hard. But that's the thing. The instincts of a Saiyan that push them to reach new levels is the exact opposite of what is needed to use Ultra Instinct. So how could Goku take the rage-filled Saiyan instincts and combine it with the calm-hearted Ultra Instinct? It's simple. Ultra Instinct doesn't require being calm at all. Although hard for Goku, or anyone for that matter, to understand at the time, Whis had already tried to explain it. This is what Goku was missing. We learned the hard way through Maris's eradication that in order to be an angel, they must be neutral in all situations. Therefore, angels are calm beings. Saiyans are not. So to find his own version of Ultra Instinct, there was only one thing to do. Stop trying to be calm. But then, why did we say this?
Not the chaos of consciousness, but the elegant purity of energy operating on impulse alone.
His exact point in explaining how Goku had mastered this power was that his heart and mind were calm. And yet, here's Goku saying that he now knows how to make use of his emotions with Ultra Instinct. But Goku had been holding this truth inside him the whole time. With his new understanding of Ultra Instinct, Goku used this attack here. Very similar to the attack we saw from this great ape as it destroyed Granola's planet. Now, remember that battle cry right before Goku mastered Ultra Instinct? Being calm was required to help Goku get the basic understanding of how to move without thinking, because it helped Goku's mind focus on the only thing that's important when fighting, the battle itself and the most effective way to win. And doesn't that sound exactly like what Goku and Vegeta had just learned about their own Saiyan pride? Being a Saiyan is all about winning. In order to win, a Saiyan's instinct is to use rage and turn it into more power. But when a Saiyan uses their emotion of rage, it makes them think even more as the thoughts of loss blind them.
You have to create that need. Use the pain of loss.
And I won't watch this anymore!
But as Goku learned to use Ultra Instinct with a calm mind, he learned to push all thoughts away. That is what Goku had mastered. But now, he's able to bring in the emotion of rage to create the best version of a Saiyan's Ultra Instinct.